There was a time when taking a picture wasn't just about capturing a moment, it was the moment. You'd press the button, hear that soft mechanical whir, and a small white photo would slide out. You'd shake it in your hand, waiting as an image slowly appeared, like magic. That magic was Polaroid. They didn't just make cameras, they created instant memories. For decades, Polaroid was untouchable, a mix of art, science, and wonder that turned photography into emotion. But when the digital revolution arrived, Polaroid made one tragic mistake. They thought instant was their invention. It wasn't. And in the race for the future, the company that built instant photography was destroyed by it. Welcome to Missed Billions Explained, where we explore the billion-dollar mistakes that shaped the world we live in. If you love stories of genius, ego, and industries that built their own demise, make sure to subscribe, because this one is all about the company that invented instant gratification and couldn't survive it. The story of Polaroid begins with a man named Edwin Land, a scientist, inventor, and visionary who saw the world in images. In 1943, Land was on vacation with his daughter when she asked a simple question: "Daddy, why can't I see the picture right away?" That one question sparked a revolution. 4 years later, he released the Polaroid Land camera, the world's first instant camera. It developed photos in under a minute. No darkrooms, no chemicals, no waiting. It was the future, and people loved it. By the 1950s and 60s, Polaroid wasn't just a camera company, it was a cultural movement. Artists, scientists, and photographers all used Polaroids. Andy Warhol had one with him everywhere. Fashion designers used them for test shots. Families used them to capture birthdays, vacations, life. Every click was a physical, shareable memory. Edwin Land became a celebrity inventor, the Steve Jobs of his time. He blended creativity with science, innovation with emotion. And for decades, Polaroid had no real competition. They were printing money and memories at the same time. In the 1970s, Polaroid reached its peak. Their cameras were in millions of homes. Their film was selling faster than they could produce it. And Land kept pushing the limits of what instant photography could be. He introduced the SX70, a folding camera that looked like it came from the future, slick, metallic, and elegant. It didn't just take photos, it defined cool. Even NASA used Polaroid film on Apollo missions. At its height, Polaroid employed over 20,000 people and had billions in annual revenue. Instant photography wasn't just a product, it was a lifestyle. But while Polaroid was perfecting chemistry, the rest of the world was moving to pixels. By the 1980s, a new idea was emerging: digital photography. Ironically, Polaroid saw it coming. In fact, their own engineers helped invent it. In 1975, just 2 years after the SX70's release, a Polaroid researcher named Steve Sasson built the first digital camera prototype right inside their own labs. But management wasn't interested. They feared digital would cannibalize film sales, so they shelved it. Sound familiar? It's Kodak all over again. Polaroid believed their chemistry-based instant cameras were untouchable, that no digital gadget could replace the magic of a photo you could hold. But technology doesn't wait for nostalgia. By the 1990s, digital cameras were everywhere. Sony, Canon, and Nikon flooded the market with affordable devices that could store hundreds of photos without film. And for the first time, people didn't need to wait at all. No development time. No film cost, no shaking the picture. The very thing that made Polaroid special, instant gratification, was now something everyone offered. But Polaroid refused to change. They kept doubling down on film. When they finally launched their own digital cameras, they were too late and too expensive. The brand that once defined innovation was now chasing it. The world had changed, but Polaroid's mindset hadn't. Their identity was tied to nostalgia, not evolution. They were a company built on the moment, but stuck in the past. And when smartphones arrived, that was the final blow. Polaroid had built its empire on people's need to capture and share, but now everyone had a camera in their pocket. You didn't need a Polaroid. You had Instagram. And the irony? Instagram's entire aesthetic, the square format, filters, and even the word instant, was inspired by Polaroid. Polaroid had built the world's love for visual sharing, but someone else digitized it. In 2001, Polaroid filed for bankruptcy. Decades of dominance ended in silence. They had bet everything on film, believing their name and nostalgia would carry them through the digital revolution. It didn't. Their patents were sold, their factories closed, and their employees, thousands of them, were left behind. For a while, the name Polaroid survived only as a brand sticker on cheap gadgets, a ghost of its former self. But legends don't die easily. In 2008, a group of ex-employees launched a project called the Impossible Project. Their goal? To revive Polaroid film and cameras for a new generation. Against all odds, they succeeded. By the late 2010s, Polaroid returned, this time as a retro, art-inspired brand. They embraced nostalgia instead of fighting it. You can still buy Polaroid cameras today, but now they're not competing with technology. They're celebrating what technology left behind. So what if Polaroid had embraced digital early? What if they'd built their own instant digital platform before Instagram or Snapchat existed? They had the innovation, the brand, and the culture to own that space. They could have defined social sharing before it even had a name. But they were trapped by their own success, blinded by the magic they'd created. They believed the future would always look like their past. It never does. Polaroid's story isn't just about technology, it's about identity. They didn't fail because they stopped innovating. They failed because they forgot why they were innovating. They thought people loved film, but people loved the feeling of instant joy, and that feeling didn't die. It just moved online. Every time someone takes a selfie, adds a filter, or shares a memory instantly, that's Polaroid's legacy. The company died, but the idea of instant connection lives on in everything we do. Polaroid changed how we see the world, literally. They turned photography from a craft into a moment. And even though they couldn't survive the digital age, their fingerprints are all over it. Because the truth is, the future always starts with someone asking a simple question: why can't I see it right now? Thanks for watching Missed Billions Explained. If you enjoyed this story, hit like, subscribe, and tell us what company's downfall you want next. Because somewhere, right now, another innovator is creating the next Polaroid moment, and another company is already ignoring it.